Hi, welcome to FielDHub. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to use the FielDHub app to generate an unreplicated diagonal arrangement experiment. FielDHub has two options for two similar designs of this style, single and multiple diagonal arrangement. To start, open the FielDHub app and select Unreplicated Designs in the header. In the drop-down box, we see single diagonal arrangement and multiple diagonal arrangement, as well as two other kinds of unreplicated designs available on FielDHub: optimized and augmented RCBD. We'll start with the single diagonal arrangement. We have an option to import a list of entries in the form of a CSV file. In making a CSV file to import into FielDHub, you must make sure to have the checks appear as the first rows of the file, as indicated in the pop-up window that appears when you select that option. Additionally, when we select this option, the box to enter the number of entries disappears, as FielDHub uses the number of entries in the CSV file for this. The file I used consists of 4 checks and 296 treatments, so in the next box we will set the number of checks to 4, so the application interprets the first 4 non-header rows in the file as corresponding to checks. We have some additional options for designing the experiment on the sidebar here. We can run this experiment over multiple locations, and change the location displayed with the box next to that. We can set the plot ordering layout to either serpentine or Cartesian. After this, there's an option to set a seed number to ensure consistent randomizations. Other than that, we have some additional options for labeling the entries in the fieldbook, like experiment name, starting plot number, and location name. For multiple location names, enter the names in a comma-separated list. After we set up the experiment on this side, click the Run button. We can then choose the field dimensions from a list of possible dimensions based on the number of entries. This one gives us a field with 16 columns and 20 rows. Then click Randomize. Then, on the Randomized Field tab, we can choose the percentage of checks distribution over the field. At this point, we can save the experiment or view it in the application with the various tabs. When we click Save Experiment, it downloads an Excel file containing the information in the fieldbook. There's also an option to simulate experimental data over the field and display a heat map. A variation on this design is the multiple diagonal arrangement, which has many of the same controls as the single diagonal arrangement. For example, we can import a list of entries in a CSV in the same way. In this example, we will not import our own data. Given our number of entries, we can choose the way to split the entries into multiple experiments. In this example, we split 300 into 3 experiments with 100, 120, and 80 entries respectively. Make sure that the splits add up to the number of entries. Beyond this, the settings are the same as the single diagonal, with the exception being the setting of blocks layout, which, when by row, stacks the experiments on top of each other in the field, and when, by column, places the experiments side by side. Another option is to title the experiments different names in the form of a comma-separated list of names for each experiment. When we run this experiment and set field dimensions, we have the same options for display of the field and experiments as in the single diagonal arrangement.